Good morning again, everybody. This is take two. Something happened in my last stream. It was very uh, interfered with somehow. So this is take two. And it's still Monday, January 6th, 2020. And the subject is the diode for reverse biasing a transistor and how Bedini did it. The drawing that I drew up for this presentation, hope it comes out more clear to where you can see it. But that's the configuration. And the important steps to concerning that diode is we're talking about the diode that goes between the emitter and the base. And that diode is a 4001 diode, 1N4001. And a 1N4001 lit bypass 100 volts. The 1N4007 is good for 1,000 volts. And the problem is that when they manufacture diodes, that if it's greater than the voltage, they let it pass because they go, okay, you know, it'll let 400 volts pass. We can call it 1N401, a 2, a 3, and so forth. And so if they have a batch of diodes that are good for 1,000 volts and they have a call for 4001s, they will ship the 1,000 volt version, because what they're in their thinking is better than what the value is stated. So to find a good 4001, you do have to test them yourself and verify that greater than 100 volts, 110 volts be okay, but you want that reverse current to be able to flow back, and that's the way the schoolgirl motor works. Schoolgirl motor has so many things into it. The basics, as I was explaining before, is the light bulb I use is a 3.5 watt, 4 watt, 12 volt light bulb. And even though you're running the circuit up to 60 volts, that light bulb will do just fine. At 12 volts, it'll be dim. 24 volts will be brighter, and 36 volts even brighter than that. But even when you're running it at 60, the flyback voltage coming back through won't blow the light bulb out. And I recommend that light bulb being in there for protection of the transistor. The wire wound potentiometer, I use a 1K potentiometer, center tapped. And then, as I was explaining before, the neon bulb, this one gives adequate protection as far as size for the circuit, operating it at 60 volts on your series side of your circuit. And what you're tapping into is the quantum fluid into the circuit. As I was explaining before, the geometry of your unit is based on the magnet size. Now, I'm using a 6-inch wheel, and it's the depth of it's going to be 4 magnets deep. Okay. Now the coil, when you wind it, you basically want that 2/3 on the coil. That's your reactance, and the third that's left, that's where you slingshot from, at the bottom of your coil. And so let's call that the north face. I hadn't tested these yet, but it really doesn't make any difference. But the north face will be pointing out on the rotor, and that's really important. Now, when you're winding a coil, the start of the coil is this side, okay? And when you're spinning that, you want that arbor to be spinning counterclockwise when you're making your coil. And that way you can put your two wires right there, and you can manage it. Now all you got to do is make you a piece of wood that's the same length and shape of your intended size, and then wrap that wood with your dielectric paper, and you can wrap it. Okay, so as that's going that way, you start on your left and go to the right, and as that's spinning counterclockwise, if I was looking at it, I'd be working from this side, and it'd be spinning that way. And that way I can, that's the start winding, or the bottom of the coil, and that's going to end up being the top of the coil. So I hope that makes sense. And I've done it both ways, as far as twisting the wire together before I put it on, and then I've just run them side by side. And I use number 20 gauge for my run wire, and I use number 24 gauge for my trigger wire. And hope that makes sense for you. As far as spacing on your rotor, about a magnet width spacing. So that's your rotor, about a magnet space. And of course you want them symmetrically balanced on there, because you can spin that up pretty quick. I spun them up over 8,000 RPM. And like I said, the next one I'm doing is going to be out of aluminum. Hope that all makes sense to you, clears up what you're doing with the biasing. I've had more than one person contact me about, have I heard about running transistors with reverse bias? And that's the way Bedini did it. The transistor itself is not really reverse bias, but you want to be able to retrieve that kickback voltage going across your emitter and your base. And that's a true secret of not just, doing a 4007, 1N 4007 across the emitter and base, but instead using a 4001 that actually is 100 volts. And then you have to test them. So that's the secret of that. I'm sorry about my other video not uploading completely, but this is kind of a take two of what I needed to get across. I did a little bit quicker without as much detail. Hope you guys are having fun, because we are. I'll see you next trip.